Hello, I'm Cindy Sexton from Local 3 News. Welcome to Siskin Hospital's Possibilities fundraising event to celebrate life beyond disability. Once more, we have come together virtually, and even though we can't all be in the same room, we are still going to share an incredible journey together, engaging in amazing stories of hope, possibility, and light. We are so excited each of you is here with us to support this wonderful cause. Because of you, Siskin Hospital will be able to continue to change lives and shine the light of hope far into the future. Let me first introduce Matt Gibson, President and CEO of Siskin Hospital.
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you for joining us today. For over 32 years, Siskin Hospital has helped patients and their families live life beyond disability. Our reputation for providing exceptional care has brought thousands of patients through our doors, searching for hope when they needed it most. Over the past 2 years, as our country has faced a global pandemic, we've adapted our care and even created a brand new post-COVID treatment program to meet the pandemic head-on as we continue to lead the way to provide the best care possible for our patients. But we couldn't do it without the support of people just like you. We are so grateful for the opportunity your donations provide for us to continue to be caring people, changing lives in our community. We also could not shine nearly as brightly without the passion and commitment of our fine associates, like those working behind me today, in addition to those across all of our Siskin Hospital campuses. Our clinical teams are what truly sets Siskin Hospital apart. Their expertise in their respective fields is matched by their strong desire to help every single patient who comes through our doors reach their fullest potential. We're incredibly thankful for all they do to impact the lives of our patients and our patients' families. Today, you are going to get to hear two amazing stories. Both of these were dramatically impacted by the rehabilitative care that they received. First, Sarge Swafford, a retired Army medic who battled life-threatening COVID-19 illness. Next, Travis Mills, a U.S. soldier and young father who suddenly found himself as a quadruple amputee. Their stories of hope and perseverance are sure to inspire each of us that there is not only surviving, but living life to the fullest after disability. Fortunately for Sarge, Siskin Hospital was here and ready to meet his specific needs, as we are able to do for so many patients every year, no matter the diagnosis they have. Let me assure you, it's a privilege and an honor that we never take lightly here at Siskin Hospital. So before we share their inspiring stories, I would also like to thank two other incredibly inspiring people and true friends of Siskin Hospital. Jeff and Cindy Messenger, this year's Possibilities co-chairs. We are so grateful to both Jeff and Cindy for their willingness to serve and help ensure others have access to the same incredible resources that they received when Jeff suffered complications following back surgery a few years ago. Jeff experienced our inpatient and outpatient programs and is now a devoted fitness center member here at Siskin. Jeff was thankful he had a place close to home to turn to, and we were honored to be able to make a difference when he needed it most. Thank you, Jeff and Cindy, for giving of your time, energy, and yourselves to help make this year's event a success. We truly appreciate both of you. Now I want to take a moment to thank all of our generous sponsors, including Unum in their 19th year as our premier event sponsor, and Hamaco once again as our presenting speaker sponsor. In addition, Brewer Media and the Chattanooga Times Free Press as our two media sponsors of Possibilities. 100% of all of the proceeds raised from this event will be used to provide free care for patients without insurance, allowing Siskin Hospital to continue to shed the light of hope into dark situations and enabling us to help those who desperately need rehabilitative care, all thanks to you.
When COVID-19 first hit in 2020, a new kind of darkness loomed as families were suddenly faced with fear and left struggling with the aftermath of a virus no one really understood. For Pierre and Jacoby Swafford, Siskin's light at the end of a long tunnel would make all the difference. Pierre, or Sarge Swafford, is a former soldier and Army medic turned avid horse trainer after retirement. He had a simple cough that quickly escalated and led to more than 4 months in a coma, 5 healthcare facilities, and months of rehabilitation. His fight back to the life he loved wouldn't be easy. But his military training and discipline, along with his family's strong faith, would lead him back.
In this situation with COVID, it's nothing I've ever been through. It's not like having a cold or a flu. It's just something that changes you internally for life. I wanted to do 1,000 push-ups, but my body was saying I only do 10. But my military background is saying, hey, you need to knock the wall down. But I couldn't at this time, not with this illness. This is something that racked my entire body from head to toe, and I'm still trying to get a grasp on it and figure it all out psychologically, mentally, emotionally. It's nothing I've ever been through.
Sarge had always tackled everything with strength, discipline, and force, but when COVID left him fighting to even breathe, his wife Jacoby knew he needed help.
So it was the day before Thanksgiving of 2020 that we took Pierre to the emergency room where he was diagnosed with COVID. We were told if he did not get better within a day or two to make sure that we followed up. And so that's exactly what we did. We recognized that Pierre was really sick. We could see it in his eyes. He could barely breathe. You know, we had him sleeping on his stomach. And I remember looking in his eyes, telling him that you have to go because we cannot treat you here. And so he was admitted into the hospital the day after Thanksgiving.
What I do remember is being in the emergency room, man. I'm taking mental notes of all the doctor's name tags. I'm looking and listening. I'm watching the bags that they're putting around remdesivir, you know, convalescent plasma. It's not working for me. You know, I'm a medic too. I have a medical background. My wheels are spinning. Hey, Pierre, you might be in a bad situation.
You know, we had Pierre in the hospital. You know, I'm thinking that he's on his way to getting better. So I'm at home like, okay, sigh of relief. But then I tested positive for COVID. And so within a couple of days, I found myself in the hospital. We ended up in the same hospital, only he didn't know I was there. And so I spent 8 days in the hospital. The day after I was released, it was my mother that called me and told me the severity of Pierre's illness and that he had to be airlifted from Chattanooga to Nashville. So it was many, many dark days, many days of not knowing if he was even coming home to us.
The last time Sarge had flown in a helicopter, he was a military medic working to save the lives of injured soldiers. But this time, in the helicopter, he was the one fighting for his own life. At home, Jacoby and their children held tightly to their strong faith, refusing to give up as they believed in a miracle for Sarge. She prayed Psalm 91 over him day after day.
I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust. Thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day.
And what I do remember vividly is Dr. Manda. He asked me, he said, Mr. Swafford, he said, you're 49 years old. He said, if I need to save your life, do you give me permission to put you on a ventilator? You can't phone a friend, can't call mama, Can't call your daddy, can't call your wife, can't call your son. I had to dig deep. I didn't want to say yes, but I got grandkids, got a family. I want to continue to live. You know, I'm just 49 years old, I want to die. So the answer was yes. So I gave him permission to put me on a ventilator, you know. And the last thing I remember was the nurses coming in and saying, hey, when I intubate you, I know what this means. So I just closed my eyes and said my prayers. And when I opened my eyes up, it was in the springtime.
Sarge may have been unaware of the passing of time, but his wife and family were aware of every single moment and desperately clinging to hope.
I didn't get to see him for several weeks because as they explained it to me at the hospital in Nashville, that first he had to be cleared from infectious disease and CDC guidelines. Most of the interaction was through FaceTime. So he had some wonderful nurses so that I could see him, the children could see him, but he couldn't communicate back to us.
Before COVID, Sarge and his family were involved in a horse riding and training ranch. He was active, energetic, worked out every day, and weighed 240 pounds. When he awakened from his coma, he was extremely weak, weighing only 170 pounds, had a trach, and was on a feeding tube. Much had changed in the months since he had last closed his eyes, but his beautiful family was the first thing Pierre saw when he opened his eyes again.
I remember my wife and kids surrounding my bed. They know I love horses. They know I have a fond love of Corvettes. I'm the president of my Corvette club, so my kids, the previous years for Christmas, they bought me a red Corvette, a little model car, and a little brown horse that was hovering over my bed. So I remember seeing that, and that brightened my day up. And I remember my nurse playing Chris Stapleton. I'm an old country boy, you know. I remember playing Chris Stapleton. And if you saw my video, you saw me playing the air guitar. It was one of my favorite Chris Stapleton songs that I was playing. So that's what I remember vividly as I opened my eyes back up.
In all of the years Jacoby had attended Possibilities luncheons like this one, she never dreamed that one day their family would greatly need the services of Siskin Hospital.
You know, I supported the Possibilities luncheons for several years, and I heard of all of these wonderful recovery stories with Siskin. So it was never a doubt that Siskin was going to be where we were going to have him do his rehab. Siskin's always been our first priority. Yeah. I never imagined this, but you know, I would sit there and you know, I would cry and I would just be amazed at the strength of all of the people that had gone through these heartbreaking life situations. And so to find myself, to find our family on the other end of this, it's just something that I never imagined would happen. But I do appreciate all of the stories that they told because that was inspiration, and I drew strength from that so that we could continue to go through this journey.
Once Sarge was off his feeding tube and began taking some first tentative steps, he was ready to transition to rehabilitation. Sarge's father had been a patient of Siskin following 2 knee replacements, so he had an idea of what to expect once therapy began.
So I had the expectation that I was going to have to work, so I wanted to do that anyway. But I had a lot of great people working with me down at Siskin. They got me up every single day and worked me, made me walk, made me work every morning. There's no resting at Siskin. I can tell you that. There's no resting, there's no laying down. It seemed like somebody was knocking on my door every 5 minutes. It was physical therapy, occupational therapy. But I can look back and they made me stronger.
Sarge, while he was my patient here at Siskin, he had a positive attitude each and every day waking up. He was, determined to head back home and keep riding horses, and determined to, be a father and definitely continue those activities.
Siskin Hospital has an after-COVID program to target the specific areas the virus had attacked. And Sarge's compassionate team of therapists, nurses, and physicians rallied around him.
Sarge was really determined to get out of here as quickly as possible. He was always willing to go extra in his therapy sessions. I gave him a lot to do outside of therapy in his room, some home exercise programs, and I could always find him usually before therapy, ready to go in his chair to get down here and do what he needed to do so that he could get out of here quickly. I think that the military background definitely helped him in his therapies. Sometimes we had to, remind him about his energy conservation techniques, to sit down, to slow down, to take a break, that it was okay to take a break, to keep his oxygen up. But he was really determined, and I think that definitely benefited him in his treatment here.
They encouraged him at Siskin to not try to do things full speed ahead, but maybe just sit down at the table, find things that you love to do. So if you like to cook, maybe sit at the table, and stir, and get the assistance, of your family members. So there were always activities that they thought of for him, maybe, squeezing the little squishy balls, stirring, but really for him to do this at his own pace and build over time. And so that's what he's been able to do. And so we really can't thank Siskin enough.
One of the most uplifting things Sarge's outpatient therapist was able to help him do was get back to riding and training horses. This is a lifelong love he shares with his father, former police officer Sarge Swafford, who used to patrol the city on horseback.
I had a love of horses from my dad, and I just maintained the love of horses, and I just wanted to pass it on because horses are a majestic animal. They're therapeutic.
One of the lasting effects of COVID-19 left Sarge with very poor grip strength. He desperately needed to regain strength in his hands to be able to hold the reins. That's where Siskin Hospital's certified hand specialist, Cheryl Geist, stepped in.
She asked me to bring in some of the tools, some of the leather straps that I use to rein in the horses, and she kind of thought outside the box, which was clever for her to bring those in.
Sarge was very determined to get back to riding his horses, which was really played a key role in his therapy. From day one, he would talk about riding his horses and getting back to training them. And his horses are his happy place. He would go down to his pasture and just sit and lean back against a tree and watch his horses, and that was calming to him. So it was very evident from day one that he needed to get back to his horses or his life would never be the same. Sarge had some really stiff, swollen hands, and I had worked a lot with stiff, swollen hands, but it was just different. And the doctors weren't even sure. They hadn't seen that with COVID. It wasn't common. And so we just kept plugging away at it. Sarge had some really frustrating days where he would come in and say, "Is this ever going to get better?" And I told him, I don't know. We just have to try. So we were pretty thrilled the day that he got a tight enough grip where he was able to bring his reins in, and him and I played tug of war with it, and he held his own, and he was able to hold real tight to him, and at that point I think it gave him the confidence to be able to get back to riding again.
Cheryl, my hand therapist, occupational therapist, she's very special to me. She's an awesome person. You guys need to duplicate her and stamp her 1,000 times.
Sarge is forever grateful to Cheryl and everyone at Siskin Hospital for helping him regain the ability to enjoy his passion again, and for helping him actively engage with his precious family. Before his illness, he had just celebrated his 49th birthday with lots of love and laughter, and he and his daughter were planning to cook the family's Thanksgiving meal together when everything changed. He was too sick to cook alongside her. Pierre tried to give instructions from another room.
I was sick in the back room trying to tell her a recipe.
He never got to, he was too sick, and none of us really felt like eating. With our children, even though they're adults, we were trying to give them some sense of Thanksgiving.
Family time and celebrations are precious to the Swaffords, but they missed much of that, which left them more determined than ever to celebrate in a big way once Sarge was able.
So as far back as I can remember, and we've been married over 30 years, he's always had a love for boots. But before he got sick, we'd actually gone to look at a particular pair of boots, and we debated on them because we said, well, they're pretty costly. And so I would talk to him a lot at his bedside. But I also whispered in his ear, get up. When you get up, you're getting those boots. And I would just say that repeatedly.
She didn't know I heard the conversations. You never know what people remember when you're talking to them when they're in a coma.
Sarge remembered Jacoby's promise, and when he was preparing to leave the hospital, he reminded her.
Oh yes, he did. He reminded me that he reminded me that he made it. So I had an obligation to get those boots. The children and I presented him with those boots, and I don't know, that was just, I know he was excited to get them, but we were more excited to give those to him.
No matter how much they cost.
That's right.
Today, Sarge is grateful for the chance to start over again. He's back to working with his horses and enjoying his family. He's looking forward to brighter days ahead.
First of all, I tell people, number one, I have to say that God saved my life. Number one, my faith in God. Number two, the doctor said that if I didn't have the military background, the tenacity to dig in deep, because those procedures that my body went through, you know, I wouldn't have survived them if I didn't have the training and the background that I had. But in my family, motivation to get back home, and the great staff that you guys have at Siskin, the doctors, the healthcare staff that pushed me, the great service that they provided me. Because of Siskin Hospital, I can ride and train my beautiful horses again.
It's exciting to see how far Sarge has come in his recovery. Thank you, Sarge and Jacoby, for sharing your amazing story of hope with us. We join your family celebrating how you survived and thrived. We are thankful Siskin Hospital has a caring after COVID program to help patients battling the effects of the disease that has rocked our entire world. As an Army medic, Sarge had devoted his life to caring for soldiers injured on the battlefield. Now, let's meet Travis Mills, our keynote speaker and true patriot. A member of the legendary 82nd Airborne Division, Travis was fighting for our country when his world was turned upside down.
Hey everyone, how you doing? Travis Mills here. I'm going to tell you guys about how awesome I am just in a little bit, because first I want to tell you thank you so much for being part of this event with Siskin Hospital. It is a fantastic facility, and it's built around giving people the chance to be independent, to get their lives back, and to move forward after whatever injury or whatever thing they sustained happened to them. So for you being a part of this event, my heart goes out to you. Thank you so much for believing in this mission and being a part of the Possibilities event. Guys, we're gonna have fun today, all right? Like I said, I'm gonna tell you about how awesome I am. And that's the first thing I want you to know about me. Number one is I am awesome. The next thing about me you need to know is I am humble, right? In that order, awesome and then humble. But here's the thing, I'm a retired staff sergeant from the 82nd Airborne Division. And you can see I have some prosthetics, if you will. Doesn't hurt, don't worry about it. And I had a bad day at work while I was overseas in 2012. You see, on April 10th, I was on patrol, and as I was walking, we came to a short halt. I set my backpack on the ground. When the bag hit the ground, underneath it was a bomb. And my world changed forever. After being injured, I was on the ground seeing what happened, and I could tell my right arm and right leg were completely gone. The pieces of me were never found, unfortunately, but as my medics ran over to work on me, they put tourniquets on all four limbs and they kept me alive. They put me on a helicopter and we flew from where I was at in Afghanistan to Kandahar Hospital, and I made it to the hospital and went into surgery for 14 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, 9 doctors and 7 nurses worked on me for 14 hours straight, which is insane to me, but they believed that my life mattered. They went ahead and they amputated my other 2 limbs and made me a quadruple amputee. And through all this, they kept me medically sedated until 4 days later. And on April 14th, they woke me up for the very first time. And when I came to, my brother-in-law was the only one in the room. And I looked over and I saw that my right side, my left side, my legs were all gone. But the first question I had was, my soldiers, how are my soldiers? And then after my brother-in-law, Josh, who was in the room with me, told me, I went ahead and asked, am I paralyzed? And Josh said no. And I told him I can't feel my fingers and toes, and he just let me know you don't have them. But ladies and gentlemen, that was a wild, wild time in my life that I would have never seen or been able to forecast. But you know what? There are people out there that help me every day. They help me get back on my feet. They help me learn how to drive and walk and feed myself. And this hospital, Siskin Hospital, does the same thing. Their rehab facility is top-notch, #1, giving back to people and helping them. Now, we're going to get into that and what my recovery looked like, but I want you guys to know I have the absolute best wife in the world. And that might sound a little bit rude because you guys probably have spouses and you think they're #1. But here's how I know my wife is #1, ladies and gentlemen. My wife, Kelsey, and I met, right? We had a very short engagement, 17 days in person. We got married. You know, her mom and dad, I don't think they were into it, but whatever. But we got married. And when we had our daughter 4 years later, we thought, what do we name this sweet little angel? 14 hours of labor and everything. And my wife looked at me from the hospital bed and with a heavy sigh, she was like, we have to name her Chloe Lynn, don't we? And I said, no, we don't have to. What makes you think that? And she said, well, we have to because you're an idiot and you have your ex-girlfriend's name already tattooed on your arm. Which, I mean, she wasn't, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, we named her Chloe Lynn, long story short. And after my ex-girlfriend. So that's not true at all, ladies and gentlemen. My ex-girlfriend is a horrible person, and we're not going to talk about her today, but just know that I was playing college football, and she told me to move home, and I did because she loved me, and then she had a boyfriend, so I joined the Army, and when I got blown up, it's all her fault. That's who I blame for this. No arms, no legs. Not even the Taliban anymore. It's her fault. But look, let's get back to it, okay? When I was there in the hospital in Landstuhl, Germany, waking up for the first time 4 days after my injury, it was my 25th birthday. And I had to see the world in a different way. I had to wonder why this happened. I had to question, why did I live through this? Am I a bad person? Does God hate me? What did I do wrong in life? And there was no answers at the time. But once I got on the airplane and I flew from Landstuhl, Germany to Walter Reed, I got to see my wife for the very first time. My wife was 23 years old. I was 25. We had a 6-month-old little girl when I was injured. And I came to realize that I was going to be a burden. And I said, look, Kelsey, you don't have to do this. You can take Chloe and you can go. My wife looked at me and she was like, no, that's not how this works. We will get through this together. And I was like, that's insane. What makes you even think that we should, you know, that you would want to do this? And she's like, I really want front row parking and I'm pretty sure you're getting a handicap tag out of this, so I'm going to ride it out. No, I'm just kidding, obviously. My wife's a really, truly amazing person. And I'm sure that the hospital has a lot of amazing people that stay right there with their patients every day, watching them take their first steps, watching them use their hand or their arm and grab something and get motor functions and skills back because of the wonderful staff at Siskin, at the hospital. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my road to recovery was not easy. 19 months is what I endured of every day trying to fight back and do better. But I was there and I was able to do it. I was so grateful to have the opportunity to get a prosthetic arm 5 weeks into my injury. I learned how to open it and close it and rotate it like I showed earlier. Just kidding. I learned how to walk again 7 weeks and 4 days into my recovery on prosthetic legs. Everything that was taken away from me, I got back. Maybe not the same, definitely not, as good as my originals, but I was able to learn how to walk and feed myself, go to the restroom by myself, and all the things that were the most trying during my first 2 months of being injured. Now, fast forward a little bit. After I learned how to walk again, I got running legs. After I learned how to drive again, I race people on the streets all the time. I get pulled over. I mean, it's crazy. They pull me over and I'm like, hey, what's up? My foot got stuck. I couldn't feel it. I'm sorry. And they let me go. I mean, literally, get out of jail free card right here. But what the important part of my 19 months of recovery should tell you is that it works. It works. From a guy sitting in a hospital room in Landstuhl, Germany, wondering why he didn't die, questioning, how is this better? How is this a better life than just fading out and not being in everybody's way, to now being a motivational speaker, now traveling around and being able to help inspire and let people know, hey, life goes on. My slogan has always been, never give up, never quit. I tell everybody that I can to live out that slogan. And not every day in recovery is going to be a good day. You will not feel great after some days of working out. You will not see the gains if you look for it every day. But slowly, step by step, new movement by new movement, I was able to regain my independence. We live in a wonderful nation, but sometimes this nation has the citizens step up to the plate because we all need a little bit of help. And that's why this wonderful event, the Possibilities event, is so important. The impact that you are making to help these people that might come up short on insurance, might not have the ability to financially do the things that I was able to do because I was a government employee. Well, that gets picked up because people out there care. Because people believe that there is a way to give back so they can feel good about what they're doing, but they can help change the life of so many others. And you got to imagine every single step that patient takes, it helps not just them, it helps their spouse, their family, their children. Ladies and gentlemen, I have 2 wonderful children. That tells you another thing. Still got it. Still works. My son is 4. I don't change diapers. He's out of them now, but I didn't change diapers, right? But the thing is, I'm able to take my son to school, drive him, drop him off. I'm able to be that support my wife needs that I used to be before my injury, and I was able to regain and get back to. And I think that's what today is all about. The Possibilities event is literally helping people see the possibilities they have in life. And that's only possible, which I'm using this word a lot, I understand that, but it's only possible or something they can achieve with your help, with you stepping up and saying, you know what, this is worth my time, my efforts. So thank you for being a part of this. Now I will tell you, whether you are a patient watching this, a business owner, just somebody interested in finding out what it's all about, there are 2 life lessons that I am so fortunate to live by. Number 1, I realized early in my injury that, you know what, you can't always control your situation, but you can always control your attitude. For me, my situation will never change. I will wake up every day with no arms, no legs on, right? My arm goes on a charger, my legs stay downstairs, they get charged. But when I wake up, I hop over to my wheelchair. I get my arm on, off the charger. It charges every night like a cell phone, right? I take my wheelchair, I go make coffee, I get my wife's coffee set up. Eventually my wife and my kids come out, and we go about our day because my situation will never change. But my attitude will always be upbeat. I will always be a happy guy. I will always be so grateful and thankful for the opportunity to still live, to be a part of my family. And because of my rehab at Walter Reed with my physical therapist, with my occupational therapist, I am able to actually live a productive life. It's not just me sitting on the sidelines. No, it's me being active right there as a parent, right there as an adult in society. I don't adult that much, but I try. And I was given that opportunity because of my rehab. The next thing after my first life lesson about situation compared to attitude is, you know what? Don't dwell on the past. Reminisce it. And this works across the whole broad spectrum of anything. Not just for people that were injured or got hurt or whatever. No, what I tell people is I used to sit in my hospital bed and I would hope and I'd wish and I'd pray this never happened. And I would ask, how do I go back in time? How do I make this not my reality? And no matter how many times I closed my eyes, I couldn't change what happened to me. So instead of dwelling on the fact I was injured, I just reminisce it. I had 25 years that were fantastic with arms and legs. I had one bad day at work, case of the Mondays, you know what I'm saying? But ever since my injury, I'm coming up on my 10th year of my injury, they've been pretty incredible as well. Because instead of dwelling on it, I reminisce what I had and I don't lose sight of what I still am able to do. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope that helps. Pierre's story was fantastic. He's also out there motivating, but he was cared for because people like you stepped up to the plate and believed that they mattered. I hope that this story that I told today about me helps you understand that life goes on. There's ways to get through injury and past whatever happened to you. And I'm just so grateful to be here. By the way, I know I look like a potato, like Mr. Potato Head. My nickname, I don't want it to ever be Spud. So I'm gonna tell you guys, if you ever see me in public, call me Travis Saurus Rex. You're probably like, what the heck's that mean? Well, let me tell you, I got short arms, right? When I fall over, it's hard to get up. But I'm a carnivore, just like a T-Rex. You guys have been awesome. Thanks for your time. Thank you for being part of the Possibilities event. And Siskin Hospital, job well done to you, the staff, the volunteers that work there, and everybody watching this video. I hope you all can just know how great what you're doing is. I appreciate you. Thanks so much. Have a great day and take care.
Thank you, Travis, for sharing your journey with us. An inspiring and incredible story. Travis said his therapy team made all the difference in his recovery. They rallied around him, offering support and expertise when he needed it most, and challenged him to keep pushing when he was overwhelmed. Well, every day, Siskin Hospital brings that light of hope and possibility into the lives of patients facing dark situations.
Thank you again for joining us today. We certainly hope to be in person next year in 2023. But we trust that you've been inspired by all we've just watched together today. Remember, you can make a donation by clicking the donate button on your screen right now. Please help us to continue to change lives here at Siskin Hospital.
When a late night fall left me with a broken hip, Siskin Hospital.
When a hit and run accident almost killed me, Siskin Hospital.
When severe back pain limited my ability to get around, Siskin Hospital.
When COVID-19 left me struggling to breathe and unable even to get into the water, Siskin Hospital.
When a shocking stroke at age 4 terrified my family and left me needing to relearn everything, Siskin Hospital.
Because of Siskin Hospital, I am back on the go.
Because of Siskin Hospital, I'm an active student and ready to start my future.
Because of Siskin Hospital, I'm climbing stairs and the real estate ladder.
Because of Siskin Hospital, I'm here swimming my morning laps.
Because of Siskin Hospital, I am able to enjoy my family and fully engage in life.
Because of Siskin Hospital, I can have a smile on my face again and encourage others to have hope.
Restoring hope on the path back to independence.
Siskin Hospital for Physical Rehabilitation. Caring people, changing lives.